What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this one I wanted to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the earnings that just came out and give you guys my price predictions for tomorrow. But before I break anything down, all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Tomorrow is going to be the last day I promote this, so you have one more day left to sign up. Anyways, now let's break down what's happening to the market. So SPY got a very, very nice push. I'm sure you guys had someone that reminded you that this might end up happening. If you look at my previous video, I said there's going to likely be a rebound attempt despite the hot CPI, because we saw some buyers try to bring SPY back up above 494 yesterday at the very end of the day. And that is what ended up happening. We got a very, very nice rebound throughout the markets. SPY is back in the green at 498. NEO is green, Tesla's green, SPY is green. Aapl was a little bit weaker. I did say this in the morning. The QQQ was strong, got a nice rebound. So did Nvda. Nvda is holding up nicely. Microsoft came very close to our price target. I said it's going to be testing 410. That's what panned out. And also the same thing happened to all these other ones. I told you Coinbase is going to pump approaching its earnings. That played out. Got a nice bounce on Amazon and Meta as predicted. So this is what we were expecting, and this is what ended up panning out. And now I'm going to give you guys my prediction for tomorrow again in this video. But I first want to talk about the economic data, talk about some earnings for a bit, and then I'm going to break down the charts in just a few minutes. So what's happening with the economic data? Let's actually break down something very important. Tomorrow morning, an hour before the market opens, we have initial jobless claims coming out. We want this to be around 220,000, so watch and see how this affects us. On top of this, we also have the export prices and import prices coming out. That's coming out at the same time. It's going to be very minor compared to initial jobless claims. And then later on, at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the industrial production and manufacturing production all coming out. That's important for the manufacturing numbers, so I'll be watching that, followed by some housing data at 10 a.m. So you have quite a bit of data in the morning. Most of the data is kind of minor, not that crazy, except for the manufacturing ones and initial jobless claims. And then later on, we have some bill auctions, not to mention Waller from the Fed giving a speech. So most of the data is minor. There are a couple of big things out there, and then we have one Fed speaker at the end of the day. But that's pretty much it, guys. Make sure you're prepared for this. For now, we're just going to focus on initial jobless claims and the data coming out in the morning. Those are the main things to watch for, and I'll give you guys more reminders later on. Besides that, as a reminder, the market is pricing in a 90% chance that the Fed is going to keep rates the same for the March FOMC meeting, which is a little bit over a month from now. And then also there's a 10% chance now that the Fed is going to give us a cut. So slight adjustments were made, but everything is very close to what we saw from yesterday. For earnings, we have some interesting stuff for tomorrow. For today, we saw just a few others, such as Cisco Systems and a couple others, which are all very, very minor. But then for Thursday, which is tomorrow, we have Crocs coming out in the morning, John Deere as well. And then after market close, we have DraftKings, Coinbase, and Roku. Coinbase is going to be a big one. I can't wait to watch that. And besides that, that's going to kind of conclude the main earnings for the week, because everything else on Friday is very minor. So that being said, let's just talk about a couple of earnings before I switch over to the charts. We just had Twilio's earnings, and it wasn't actually that great. So overall, the share price has dropped because of the fact that despite their EPS was close to expectations, revenue was okay. Their revenue forecast came in very light, below expectations, and that caused the share price to drop. For Cisco Systems, this is not looking as great. So they actually met on EPS and they met on guidance, which is very, very sad. It wasn't that bad whatsoever. They met on earnings. Their EPS was about 56 cents a share, and their revenue was actually above expectations. But the problem is they lowered their guidance. They're saying that in the future, what a lot of these investors were expecting may not end up being met. And they ended up also announcing some job cuts, which are necessary to bring down expenditures for the company and simultaneously to help them out when it comes to their overall margins. So that's going to be very important. They're cutting 5% of their labor force, or about 4,200 jobs in total, which is a negative piece of news. At least the share price ended up dropping when that came out. So that, alongside lowered guidance, is hurting the company's share price, at least for now. So that's it for earnings for now. Don't forget, tomorrow's exciting. We have Coinbase and Roku. Can't wait for those. Now let's talk about the charts. How are things looking? And the answer is I still think there's more room left in the tank to push the market higher. The 4-hour time frame is showing a potential bullish cross in the PPO for SPY. And on top of that, we actually made our way back above the 50 EMA. We held very, very nicely. And let me break down something important. So on SPY, yesterday I was talking about 494. If we closed below that, there would have been a risk of more downside. And if we ended up losing this, we would have turned more bearish. That's the more bearish case. And what happened today? What happened was we gapped up, we pushed, grabbed liquidity at 498 for this drop. The bears attempted to bring the market down. And what did they do? They failed to get SPY below 494. We held above it very nicely, and the bulls defended and started pushing this thing up very, very nicely. I also called out an inverse head and shoulders like structure right over here that developed. This was our signal for a potential reversal, and this played out as well. And what did SPY do? We pushed and pushed. At the end of the day, as we predicted, I told you at the end of the day, we might see another push just like we did yesterday. SPY pushed up above 498, and we're still in the 498s right now. So what is our next target? It's very simple. Lo and behold, we have 499 next because that's where this imbalance is. That's why I want to call that out specifically. If we break that, I think SPY is going to head for 501. I think it's going to get to at least 501 by tomorrow. If we break that, I mean, if it gets above 501, there's an imbalance at 502. Then we have 503.5 as the all-time high. If we break that, this shows that SPY is not in a downtrend. It could just keep pushing. The next target is going to be 505. Now, I don't know if it's going to go up to 503 or anything like that. Where I think it's going to head towards is this level. Let me just change the color to blue. I'm going to make this a little bigger. Maybe instead of blue, I should do like orange or something else. I'll just do orange, okay? See the orange line right here? That's 501. I think tomorrow, SPY is going to try to push for 501, and then we're going to have to watch and see how it reacts to this. Do we get a little rejection? Because here's the important thing. I don't know right now if SPY is still in an overall downtrend. I don't know if this is going to be our top. We come down, we push up to 501, and then we reject and form like a lower high for the downtrend to perpetuate, or if SPY is going to break the all-time high and just continue to uptrend. I don't know yet. That's why it's going to be very important to watch for this. So for tomorrow, I want to give you guys a warning. Yes, I think SPY is going to pump more. We should hit this 501 resistance, but watch and see, do we get a big rejection and establish a lower high? So this is like the high, we make this low, lower high, lower low, right? That's when the direction changes. Or does SPY break through this and test this top again? Do we try to break out of this and form, another high? Because if we do break the high, we could still be in an uptrend overall still, just like this, right? Higher high, higher low, higher high. We technically made the same low here, and then we could be breaking to a new high. That's going to be the more bullish case. So I'm not predicting anything about whether or not we're going to make that move. Instead, I think that we're going to be testing 501 tomorrow, look for a nice push, and we'll have to see what SPY does after that. But I do believe there's more upside coming. The chart looks bullish, so watch for that very carefully. How about for Tesla? Now, Tesla's in a very important place because Tesla has a nice support at 188 that also correlates with, I think, the 200 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. Let me just double check just to be safe. Actually, it's not that. It's actually close to the 50 EMA on the 4-hour time frame, not the 200. But if anything, if Tesla could hold above the 188 zone, as we're getting this bullish crossover on the PPO, the chart looks bullish. Okay, when we get these bullish crossovers, we typically see it push even more. So there's a very good chance Tesla will try to push more and test the top up here. So I think there's more upside left in the tank for Tesla. So just to be safe, watch 190.5. If we break that, I think Tesla's going to be going all the way up to about 192. That's where this wick happens to be. If we get above 192.5, our next target is going to be all the way up towards 194 to 195. And we could see Tesla kind of retest this wick. If we're bearish on Tesla, you want to see it basically lose 188, which is just one support to 187.5. If we end up losing that zone, expect this to come all the way back down to 184. So watch that carefully. In my opinion, I think that Tesla has a nice range right here. It's been range bound for many, many weeks, back and forth price action. I think it's going to make an attempt to go higher as the chart still looks bullish. So I think we're going to look for a nice push on Tesla. We could drop during the first hour to grab liquidity at 188, then rebound and start pushing. And I think it's going to break out into the 190s for the time being, and we could be looking for 192, then 195. Tesla to me looks bullish, so watch for that push very, very soon. How about the QQQ? How is the triple Q looking? The answer is it looks bullish because we have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure, nice accumulation right over here. We're testing this resistance right over here around 433, and we have this gap to fill all the way up to about 435. Let me just show you the gap. I find it easier to just go here since I have all the lines drawn. I just come here instead. So the 4 hour is about to get a bullish cross just like SPY on the PPO. And then on top of this, if you look at the daily, check this out, guys. The daily looks bullish, and we have this gap over here at 435. I think we're going to fill that gap pretty quickly, and then we'll have to see how it reacts to that. But I do expect that to get filled. I think it looks bullish. I think there's a very good chance it's going to push for that, especially because technicals do look strong on it, and Nvidia is helping it out very nicely. So that's exactly what we predicted yesterday. That is how this is doing. So watch 435, see how we react to this. If we break this, we have an imbalance to fill up here at 436.75. That's our next target if we break out of the 435s. And if that breaks, 438 is coming next for a full recovery. If we fail, watch 432 as support. 429 to 430 will be next. That's where we bounced off today. And if we lose 429, 427 is coming next. I think that this thing might retrace a bit, then start pushing to at least 435 and maybe even higher than that. I think it still looks strong. What else is helping this? The answer is Nvidia. Nvidia is looking pretty good because I called this out. This resembles a cup and handle. This looks like a cup to me. That formed cups do not have to be perfectly symmetrical, by the way. And then we have like a handle that formed right here, which suggests we might get a breakout. But just to be safe on Nvidia, I'm going to wait and see if we get that break. We have to see if if it could break 740 plus 742. If it breaks that, watch 745 to 742 to 745 range is going to be key. If we break this, it's going to be pushing into the 750s quite easily. 750 is coming, 752 and 760. If we break these highs right here, if we reject off 740, watch support at 730, followed by, I'm sorry, there's 734 coming first because that's where the wick was. Then we have 730, 725, and then 720. I think that Nvidia has a cup and handle, but we have to watch for confirmation just to be safe. But this does favor the bulls a bit more. In the morning, I told everyone that Aapl was looking weaker than the market. I called that out, and that is what happened today. Aapl was looking relatively weak. So the reason it's been dropping is because of news about Warren Buffett selling a lot of shares. We'll watch and see how this goes. Watch resistance at 183.5. If we break this, 184 could also be tested. If we break 184.25, our next target is 185 to 185.58. The levels on Aapl are very tight since this thing is very, very tight. If we lose 182.5, watch 181 and 180. So what do I think this is going to do? It still looks kind of weak, but we have to see if this wick right here is a sign it's going to try to push up higher. But with the Warren Buffett news, guys, I'm still going to be careful with this. So it's still kind of indecisive. I do think it may attempt to rebound a little bit, but I can't make any promises. We have to try to get back above 184. If it fails to do so, it's going to be on its way back down to 182. And if that doesn't hold us this time around, a bigger drop is coming. So I just want to say Aapl looks kind of indecisive. It could drop more and just trade sideways in this range for some time. It might bounce soon, but it may not be ready yet. So I'm just going to wait and see. But overall, it does not look as strong as SPY, the QQQ, Nvidia, or Tesla. That is it for the main ones I typically talk about. Let's go over just a couple more. How is Rivian looking? In my opinion, I think Rivian is going to test 15.8. If we break that, it's going to fill this imbalance at 16.25. It looks a little bit more bullish. For SoFi, I said SoFi looked bullish yesterday. Look at that break. It came. We're going to be watching 8.5 as resistance. If we break that, it's going to be pushing up very, very nicely. And we have this next target right here, very close to $9. It could be getting ready for a nice accumulation. I think it might, at least from a technical standpoint, it might be pushing for $9. So SoFi looks like it has a pretty nice setup. It's also getting a nice break. So watch 8.5 as resistance. If we break past that, I think it's going to be getting very close to 9 if we could hold above 8.5 or close above that. For the Russell 2000, we have this big gap to fill. So if I pull up the daily, so it looks bullish, by the way. The Russell 2000 looks bullish, the IWM. The daily is showing me this right here. It's going to push up for 200. If it breaks that, 202 is coming, I think. 202 followed by 203.5. We're going to be watching those highs. This looks like a nice accumulation structure, kind of like a slanted inverse head and shoulders. It's also got a nice bounce off the 50 EMA. So it looks like it's going to push for at least 202. It looks bullish. 203.5 is next and 205. Looks bullish overall. Microsoft. Microsoft has this gap to fill all the way up to about 414. We might just fill the gap. We look bullish on the daily. Nice bounce. Bullish crossover on the PPO. I think it's going to get up to about 414 to 415. If that breaks, our next target is going to be this level right here, very close to where this wick is, 418 to 420. So it looks bullish. Might push a little higher. Look for that 415 test. How about Shopify? Looking bullish. Actually, it's barely holding the 200 EMA. If it does break this and hold above this, I'm going to be looking for, once again, the bullish target of 82. So not super bullish, but a little bit bullish. I could see 82 to 83 coming, 83.21. So I do favor the bulls a bit more for that. For AMD, bullish. It's bullish. It's breaking out. If I zoom out, it's obvious it's trying to get close to 180. It wants 180, so I think it might push a little bit. This looks like a Wyckoff accumulation schematic, bullish setup. For, let's see what else is there. For the VIX, check this out, guys. The VIX happens to have, let me actually look at this on the daily. I just want to check something real quick. I think the VIX is going to be testing 13.68 again if we lose 14. And if we lose this support, we have a big gap to fill towards 13 flat. So it looks a little weak on the daily. I could see this sink a little bit. This is worth noting, so be very careful. For the dollar index, looks bearish right now on the daily time frame. It might be testing, in my opinion, 104.46. If it loses that, a bigger drop is coming, so wait and see. For Coinbase, in my opinion, I think that Coinbase looks kind of bullish. We have earnings tomorrow, and this thing is running approaching it, so it could push approaching its earnings, but be careful through earnings. I want to warn you guys about that. Be very, very careful. Which target are we looking at? Right here. Let me just show you where that is. Right about here. I think that this thing is going to be testing 165, and if it breaks 165, as crazy as this sounds, it could get close to 170 and then 175.57. That's going to be like our next target. That's kind of extreme, but I wouldn't rule it out because this thing could run like crazy. When you're up 14% a day and you look this strong, there's no guarantee it's just going to crash in one day. There's a very good chance it's going to keep going for at least 170 plus and possibly 175.57 then 180. But I think 170 is coming, so it looks very strong right now. I said yesterday we might see a 163 on Coinbase. It actually broke past that. Could keep going. Google on the 4-hour time frame is not looking the strongest. It actually sank in the after hours. So it must have been bad news that came out. Watch this 144 level. If we if we lose this, we're going to be sinking for 142 then 140. If we hold this, it could rebound to 146, but we're barely holding 144. It looks kind of weak right now, so be careful on Google. There must have been news or something that came out. On top of this, we have Amazon looking bullish on the PPO. To me, it looks like it might push for. I was looking at this level yesterday. 172.5 is going to be our next target, and then eventually we'll see how it reacts to that. So I do see it hitting the 172s, and eventually could get closer to 175. So it looks bullish for Meta. Meta, in my opinion, is also looking bullish. I think Meta might try to get very close. Let me just double check to where it might go. I think 475 is coming. And once we break that, 479 is going to be our next target. It looks bullish. It's going to push tomorrow most likely. So that's what the charts are suggesting. The market has more upside coming. Tesla has more upside coming. Be a little bit careful with Tesla because it does have some resistance that's kind of tight around 195. But there's still potential, guys. The market's not done yet. So I just wanted to call that out. With that being said, have a very happy Valentine's Day. If you celebrate it, have a great time with your loved ones. If not, it's okay, guys. It's okay because you could use the time to spend it improving yourself, spend time using it as motivation to do something else. So I understand why, like, I'm personally not really a big fan of the holiday because I think that you should show love to your significant other as much as you can anyways. But for the people that do celebrate, have a great time. I want the best for everyone. Take care. And just know we may have a nice day tomorrow again for the stock market. All right. So sleep well. Take care of yourselves. Spread love. And I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow morning. Thank you. and peace out.